Wake up in the morning, I'm on my way. Moide ani, it's a new day. Thank you for another chance to prove myself. I walk out in the street, people passing by. I will make a difference in someone's life. I will be the reason someone feels they belong today. Yesterday has come and gone so fast. There's no use in hanging on to the past. I can make sure everyone around is feeling good today. Hey, can we just love one another? Stand up and care for each other. We're all in this together, all in this forever. Spread the love today. Reach out and help one another. Open our hearts for each other. We're all in this together, all in this forever. That's the only way. I wake up in the morning, I'm on my way. Moide ani, it's a new day. Thank you for another chance to prove myself. I walk out in the street, people passing by. I will make a difference in someone's life. I will be the reason someone feels like they belong today. Yesterday has come and gone so fast. There's no use in hanging on to the past. I can make sure everyone around is feeling good today. Hey, can we just love one another? Stand up and care for each other. We're all in this together, all in this forever. Spread the love today. Reach out and help one another. Open our hearts for each other. We're all in this together, all in this forever. That's the only way. I look out to the world and I decide I will make a difference in someone's life. I will make sure someone's feeling love today. Wake up in the morning, I'm on my way. Moide ani, it's a new day. Thank you for another chance to prove myself. I walk out in the street, people passing by. I will make a difference in someone's life. I will be the reason someone feels they belong today. Yesterday has come and gone so fast. There's no use in hanging on to the past. I can make sure everyone around is feeling good today. Hey, can we just love one another? Stand up and care for each other. We're all in this together, all in this forever. Spread the love today. Out and help one another. Open our hearts for each other. We're all in this together, all in this forever. That's the only way. I wake up in the morning, I'm on my way. Moide ani, it's a new day. Thank you for another chance to prove myself. Out in the street, people passing by. I will make a difference in someone's life. I will be the reason someone feels like they belong today. Yesterday has can make sure everyone around is feeling good today. Hey, can we just love one another? Stand up and care for each other. We're all in this together, all in this forever. Spread the love today.
Welcome, everyone. Good morning, and thank you for joining us at Project S.A.R.A.H's annual breakfast. I'm Shira Pomerantz, the director of Project S.A.R.A.H. Today marks the 15th annual Project S.A.R.A.H breakfast, the second Project S.A.R.A.H virtual breakfast, and it is also a celebration of 25 years that Project S.A.R.A.H has been servicing the Jewish communities throughout the state of New Jersey. This morning, we will reflect on Project S.A.R.A.H's journey, how it all started, and where we are headed. In light of the recent tragedy that befell our nation just a few days ago, our hearts join with our brothers and sisters, and we hope that our gathering here today serves as a merit for the souls of those who perished and for those who are in need of a refuah shalema, a complete recovery. My journey with Project S.A.R.A.H began 8 years ago. Esther East, today's esteemed guest of honor, hired me as a Project S.A.R.A.H therapist. Over the past years, I've been greatly inspired by her leadership, knowledge, and dedication to impact the lives of those affected by domestic violence and sexual abuse. It was also my clients from whom I've been inspired. Despite the pain and abuse they have endured, they are working hard to live a safe life without suffering. I continue to be affected by their courage, honesty, and determination. It has also been a privilege to learn from and work alongside Elke Stein, Project S.A.R.A.H's clinical supervisor, as well as the rest of the Project S.A.R.A.H team. Together, we were able to bring the program through these challenging times. This past year, feelings of loneliness and fears were highlighted by the COVID pandemic, but Project S.A.R.A.H remained in touch, offered resources, and formed therapeutic Zoom support groups to remind survivors that they are not alone. Project S.A.R.A.H continues to search for ways to support those in our communities affected by domestic violence and sexual abuse. It is now my pleasure to introduce you to our new Executive Director of Jewish Family Service and Children's Center of Passaic Clifton, OZER HERZOG.
Hello and good morning to all, and thank you for joining us for the annual Project S.A.R.A.H breakfast. As one of the newest additions to JFS, I'm looking forward to meeting and working with everyone who makes Project S.A.R.A.H the important program that it is today. It is a privilege and honor to be the current executive director at JFS, where Project S.A.R.A.H is one of our flagship programs. I'm coming into an agency where domestic violence and sexual abuse is a topic to be addressed, something that is part of our initial assessments and a standard subject for ongoing trainings. But that wasn't always the case. Just recently, I was shown an article written in the Journal of Jewish Communal Service, published in 2008, 14 years ago, authored by none other than Esther and Elke Stein, where it speaks about not just the development of Project S.A.R.A.H from its nascent beginning in 1994, but the revolutionary change of attitudes and beliefs in our communities around the painful topic of domestic discord and what we now call IPV, intimate partner violence. The past 25 years has seen transformation on the issue, in large thanks to today's honorees and their forward-thinking and tireless efforts. And what will be with the next 25 years? We will continue the mission of providing support and clinical services to victims, as well as education far and wide on how to recognize when someone may be in an unhealthy relationship. Furthermore, as a communal agency, we intend to look broadly at the systemic issues that continue to contribute to the factors that create environments where the problems can fester and grow. Just as Project S.A.R.A.H was a leader to put a spotlight on the subject that had occupied the shadows, so too may Project S.A.R.A.H be a beacon of light to lead communities to address the overarching societal challenges. I'm confident that with the dedicated and talented staff led by Shira Pomerantz, we will see new journal articles about the inroads and programs pioneered by Project S.A.R.A.H. Thank you for allowing me to be the opening speaker, and thank you to everyone who contributed to making this amazing breakfast.
Thank you, OZER, for starting us off this morning. We will next hear a Dvar Torah, some words from Torah, from Rabbi Chaim Poupko. Rabbi Poupko is a senior rabbi of Congregation Avat Torah and another of today's distinguished honorees.
Thank you. Good morning. We find ourselves celebrating this virtual breakfast during the time in the calendar known as S.A.R.A.H, the counting of the Omer, where we count each day a total of 7 weeks that bridge the holiday of Pesach, taking us to the holiday of Shavuot. Now, for some, S.A.R.A.H can create a little bit of stress. For those who want to fulfill this mitzvah properly, counting each and every day and doing so with a bracha, with a blessing, you have to make sure you don't miss even one day. As many of you know, in deference to the opinion of the Bahag, one of our sages who holds that the Sphira is one long mitzvah with 49 parts, we are machmir, we are stringent, that when someone misses a day, that they can no longer recite the bracha, the blessing, for the remainder of Sphira. Missing one day means that this one long mitzvah is incomplete. So someone who misses a day loses out on the opportunity to recite a bracha for the remainder of Sphira. That's why there's a bit of stress that some feel as they make sure to remember to count each and every night. We have now apps and programs and all sorts of reminders to make sure that we don't forget to count the Sphira each night so we can continue reciting the bracha. But that's not the whole story. Even if someone misses a day and can no longer say the bracha, there still is a way to recite the bracha, to participate in the recitation of the bracha. Because we know that someone can listen to another person's bracha, answer amen to them, thereby fulfilling their obligation to recite the bracha. This is based on the well-known and important concept of arvus. Kol Yisrael arevim zeh bozeh. We are all responsible for one another, and therefore we can enable each other to fulfill mitzvos, to recite brachos. What a beautiful concept. If I lose the opportunity to recite a bracha, I can utilize that special bond that exists among all Jews so that another can help me perform a mitzvah. And how poignant this is, especially during Sphira. Sphira is that time during the calendar when we mark the deaths of 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva during the time of the Mishnah, who were guilty of lo nahagu kavod zeh bozeh, who did not treat each other properly. And here, when someone stumbles in their Sephira, in their counting, they can restore their fulfillment through another zeh bozeh, namely, Kol Yisrael arevim zeh bozeh. Project S.A.R.A.H addresses situations of lo nahagu kavod zeh bozeh by reminding us that we are arevim zeh bozeh. When people fall victim to abuse, when they don't receive the kavod, that sense of dignity that every single person deserves, Project S.A.R.A.H is there with skill, sensitivity, warmth, and professionalism so that victims know they are not alone. Project S.A.R.A.H provides them treatment and support, assists them in all manner of needs. And Project S.A.R.A.H reminds our entire community of our responsibility towards each other with the many and diverse educational initiatives and interventions, reinforcing our sense of arvus to prevent situations where someone's kavod could be violated. Sadly, there are times when we see our communal arvus, our communal responsibility for one another at moments of crisis and tragedy. The shock and horror of the tragedy in Meron last week has not worn off. So many innocent lives lost at a moment of celebration, at a moment when Jews wanted to celebrate together. And of course, closest to home, our entire northern New Jersey Jewish community mourns the passing of Donnie Morris of Bergenfield, son of Merlana and Aryeh Morris. Our hearts go out to the extended Morris and Cronenberg families. Alongside the scenes of pain and suffering in Israel that we all saw, there were also scenes of hope, instances of kindness and humanity, scenes of arvus. Arab and Druze villages in the area of Meron who opened their homes and provided food and water to Jews stranded amidst the chaos in Meron. Long lines of Chilonim in Tel Aviv, fellow Jews who identify as secular, lined up to donate blood to those who were injured. Hashem has planted within all of us, every single person, an innate sense of arvus, a sense of kinship, connection, and responsibility. And this is what drives the amazing people of Project S.A.R.A.H, the amazing efforts of Project S.A.R.A.H, their sense of arvus, their sense of zeh bozeh, for those in crisis and prevention from falling into crisis. Shoshana and I are deeply humbled and gratified to receive this honor from such a special organization. Thank you to Project S.A.R.A.H for all that you do, and may Hashem continue to grant you the strength and fortitude to continue your important work.
Thank you, Rabbi Poupko. We look forward to hearing from you again later in today's program. At this time, let's prepare some breakfast with Chef Shalom Yehudiel, whom you may recognize from his restaurants, The Humble Toast and La Cucina de Nava. I can personally vouch for his delicious food since I've enjoyed some of his cuisine at The Humble Toast. So if everyone has the recipe and ingredients ready, let's cook along with the Chopped Cooking TV show contestant as he prepares a tasty shakshuka dish. Here is Chef Shalom Yehudiel.
Hi everybody, this is Chef Shalom Yehudiel from The Humble Toast, as well as La Cucina de Nava, and I want to welcome you this morning to Project S.A.R.A.H's virtual breakfast. We're here for an amazing cause. Project S.A.R.A.H really supports people in our community going through a lot of really serious issues, so we appreciate you guys being here and cooking with us. Today we're going to be making some really authentic Israeli shakshuka. This is actually my mom's recipe, something that I've grown up on and that I really enjoy eating and I enjoy cooking as well. So let's get started. I believe that we sent out a little video prior to this demo telling you guys exactly what you need. So we're just going to go through the ingredients, make sure everybody has what they need. First, you're going to need some cilantro, some parsley. You're going to need some jalapenos, a red bell pepper, Spanish onion would be fantastic. This is canned whole peeled tomatoes, which I already diced up. So that's about 28 ounces of canned tomatoes. As far as which canned tomato to use, which not to use, that's completely up to you. I like Hunts, I like a lot of different ones really. And with shakshuka, the tomato definitely is important, but the seasoning and everything else that you put into it is really what's gonna make the shakshuka what it is. We have some smoked paprika, we have some cumin, salt, pepper, fresh chopped garlic, and a little bit of chili powder. Okay, so we're gonna get started right now. First thing we're gonna do is take our onion and dice it up. If anybody's seen our previous video, we taught you guys how to chop an onion, so we're just gonna repeat that process. I'm gonna half the onion, peel it back, then we're gonna make slits down all the way down the side. I'm gonna come through the other way. So we're basically just making nice slits lengthwise and widthwise. And then once we're here, we're just chopping away. Okay, you wanna always try to utilize as much as the vegetable as you can, because especially in the restaurant business, every dollar counts, right? So we've got our onions chopped up over here, diced up nicely. Then we're gonna work on our jalapenos. So the way I like to do it is similar to the onion. Some people don't like seeds in their jalapenos. They're, obviously most of that heat comes from the seeds. So it's up to you if you want to de-seed it, if you want to leave the seeds in. Me personally, I'm a Yemenite Jew, so I leave it in. It's hot, spicy, I love it. Width, length. Get another one down the length, and then just come in and just chop away, okay? And again, this is all going to be going into the shakshuka, so you want it uniform because it all cooks nice and even, but it doesn't have to be super perfect. But definitely, the more uniform, the better. While I'm working on that, I'm going to heat up my saute pan, and then we're just going to go with your basic vegetable oil in the saute pan. Okay, don't be scared, don't be shy with the oil. You're gonna have a lot of vegetables that you're gonna be cooking in there, so you wanna make sure we coat all the vegetables really nicely, and then continue that way. Okay, next we're gonna work on our bell pepper. So we've got our onion, we've got our jalapeno, and now we're gonna do our bell pepper. So there's a million ways you can do bell peppers. This is my favorite way. What I do is I come through on the sides, slice up each side right off the stem. Really nice and simple way to do it. Again, if you ever want to make vegetable stock, if you ever, you can always save these things and utilize them, throw it in with other vegetables and make a beautiful vegetable stock. For this purpose, we don't really need it, so we're just gonna get rid of it. We wanna just take out a little bit of that middle part just so it's, you know, just for color and as well for texture. Sometimes it can get a little slimy. You don't want that. So we're just gonna come through and just remove the inners of the bell pepper. Okay, very simply, long strips. Once we're at strip mode, we are going to dice mode. Okay, so just dice them up, just like so. Now guys, a trick of the trade, and something that obviously I'm not doing so well right now, is to always have a wet rag or a wet paper towel underneath your cutting board so it keeps it from sliding. So right now I have one. I guess it's not wet enough, so I've got a little bit of movement, but it's okay. For time's sake, we're gonna just keep going with that. Okay, now you can see my saute pan is getting nice and hot. How do you tell? You see that smoke coming out of there? So you want it, it's okay that it's smoking. You don't want it too smoky. You want to just, you know, a little bit of smoke is fine. Once you see billowing smoke out of the frying pan, you know you have a problem. Because then as soon as you put anything in, it's going to probably burn it automatically, okay? And the thing here that we definitely don't want to burn, because if we do burn it, it's going to turn real bitter, is the garlic. So we got to make sure that it's hot, but it's not hot to the point where it's going to make the garlic even more bitter, okay? So we've got it off. We took it off the fire for just a little bit. We're going to take our vegetables and start sauteing. Oh, and I wish you guys were here to smell this, because it smells wonderful already. You smell the onions, you smell the bell peppers, you smell the jalapenos cooking. Okay, I'm gonna start seasoning it already with just a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Okay, we wanna build those flavors, yeah? Nice and easy, okay? Also, a big part of shakshuka is the paprika. You gotta have good paprika. Some people like smoked paprika. Some people like fancy paprika. I prefer the smoky one, but you can't go too heavy with it. If you go too heavy with smoked paprika, then you get an overwhelming, powerful taste of paprika. And you don't want to go too crazy with that. But for the shakshuka, you need it because it gives it the color that you're looking for, and it gives it really that shakshuka flavor that everybody loves. Okay? Also, don't be shy with the oil. Okay? So I've got my vegetables sauteing. I'm gonna give them a few minutes just to work out nice and slow. Now, I'm gonna add my garlic in at this point because, again, you don't want the garlic to get burnt. You don't want it to get bitter. You want it to really, you know, slowly cook and just come together with the rest of the vegetables. Now, I'm gonna start adding my seasoning. So first of all, I'm gonna add my paprika. And again, don't be shy. This is what gives it the flavor. This is what gives it the color. This is what gives it that love that the shakshuka deserves, okay? So we've got some paprika in there. We've got some chili powder. We've got some cumin. Don't go crazy with the cumin, because if you do, then your whole dish is gonna taste like cumin. And I mean, I love cumin, but I don't wanna just taste it in every bite. So, okay? So now we've got these vegetables working, and again, if we had smell-o-vision right now, you guys would be really happy, because even without throwing in the tomatoes and the eggs or anything else, it smells wonderful with the spices, with the vegetables, everything else that we got going on. Okay? So we're gonna, again, let caramelize, keep going, a little more oil. Okay? Guys, also it's really important to clean as you work, right? So I don't wanna cook and at the end of the day sit there and clean up a huge mess. So every time you're done with a certain project that you're doing, whether it's chopping, dicing, you know, anything else, you want to just clean up, always have a nice and tight station. So like I said, at this point we've got a beautiful caramelized vegetables, the spices, everything's in there. We're going to add in our tomatoes. Okay, got the tomatoes in. Now, like I said, You don't want the tomatoes super wet, you don't want them super dry, but you want them at a nice consistency where once you start poaching your eggs in them, they're gonna come together and stay thick and delicious just the way we want it, okay? Okay, now I'm gonna continue to season. Salt, pepper. So a lot of people, when they're putting their eggs into the shakshuka, they like to make these little kind of holes. You can do that. I'm not gonna say yes or no. It's up to you. You can just let it be, more rustic and just let them do what they want to do. But if you prefer to make the egg, then or to make the hole for the egg, then you have a nice little pocket to put the egg in. Okay. Six eggs in the basket. Okay, super important. You wanna, after you put your eggs down, eggs are like not that special if you don't season them. So you always wanna make sure you season your eggs once they're in, salt and pepper. Okay, simple stuff, guys, but absolutely delicious. Okay, now we're over here. There's two ways you can do it. You can put a top to this saute pan and lower the heat and let the eggs cook. Me personally, I like to just throw in the oven. I have my oven on, it's ready to go. So I'm gonna take my eggs and I'm gonna take my shakshuka and I'm gonna put it right in this oven. And let it work. Now, as far as how you like your eggs, some people I know, like my father, he will not eat an egg if it's runny. He likes it cooked all the way through. Me personally, I like a little bit of yolk involved in it. It's all about what you prefer. So right now we're gonna let it cook and we're gonna see, where we want to take it out. I'm gonna take it out probably to a point where it's gonna be just still a little runny, but not completely over easy. And so we're gonna let it work, let it do its magic. In the meantime, while we're doing that, a beautiful accompaniment to shakshuka is really awesome bread. So over here we've got some hoagies. We've got some Italian hoagies that we're gonna slice up. And we like to slice it on a bias just because, for presentation wise, it just looks a little bit nicer. And again, if you're gonna have good shakshuka, you gotta have good bread. Otherwise, it's like, what are you doing all this for? Okay, we've got our bread. And I'm just gonna move over to the grill real quick and grill it up for a second. Now, obviously, I'm working in a commercial kitchen, so I have all the tools that I really need in order to work. I'm not sure you guys necessarily are gonna have a grill right next to you, but if you want to throw the bread in the oven for a couple minutes, that's gonna work just as fine, okay? So we're gonna let this bread grill up. We're letting our eggs cook, and we're gonna put together the final dish in just a moment. All right, folks, it's time to eat. So this is what our shakshuka is gonna and should look like. Okay, you've got your eggs. Again, it's up to you how cooked you want them. I like mine a little bit runny, so that's what it looks like. We're gonna take our pan. Remember, we cooked it in the oven, so we're gonna always grab our pan with a towel, obviously. Now, final touches, real simple stuff. I'm gonna take a little bit of cilantro, give it a nice little chop. Okay, take our parsley, give it a nice little chop as well. Okay, hit it with a little cilantro, hit it with a little parsley. Okay, take that, serve it with our grilled bread, and enjoy. This is my mom's shakshuka. This is something that I've grown up on that I love very, very much. I'm really happy to have shared it with you today. I hope you cooked along with me, and I hope that you're gonna taste along with me in a couple minutes as well. I want to thank Project S.A.R.A.H again for doing everything that they do for our community. Really, really special organization. And, you know, everybody out there watching, we appreciate all your support, and keep supporting, okay? So dig in, enjoy the Teavon, and pleasure to see everybody. A lot of health and happiness to all.
Wow. We are so appreciative of Chef Shalom Yehudiel for generously giving his time and expertise to make this event more special and to keep it within the breakfast spirit, despite it being virtual. Please take a picture of your dish and send it to Project S.A.R.A.H at jfsclifton.org so we can share it on our social media. As we're all enjoying our Shakshuka, we will hear more about Project S.A.R.A.H's journey from some of our devoted Project S.A.R.A.H consortium members, many of whom have been with Project S.A.R.A.H since its inception.
Somehow we've been involved in a lot of the firsts, and to see how these firsts have grown into big, wonderful yeshivos and organizations sort of makes me very happy and very proud. I have a special spot in my heart for Project S.A.R.A.H because the idea of Project S.A.R.A.H started at one of my children's Sheva Brachos. My son has gotten married in England, and we had this big Sheva Brachos for all our friends in New Jersey on the last night of the Sheva Brachos. And from what I was told, there were a group of rabbis and sitting at a table, and somebody had just come back from Israel, and she had heard about a shelter in Har Nof, and she said to these people, you know, if we could have a shelter in Har Nof, we should have one in New Jersey. And some of the rabbis' reactions were, we don't need it, like we don't have that kind of stuff. And the woman said, we do need it, and we should look into having something. Lassie Taubes happened to be at the table, and you know, my sister was trying to start something like that in Bergen County. Her sister was none other than our guest of honor, Esther East. In a way, I feel like, well, it started at my simcha, at least the initial thought of having it in Bergen County, and Baruch Hashem, to see how it has grown today, that makes me feel really good.
20 years ago, I moved to New Jersey, and as part of my social work job, I was asked to attend a Project S.A.R.A.H consortium meeting. Now, I had been working in the field of domestic violence for years, but was unfamiliar with the organization and did not know what to expect. I was amazed to walk into a room and find warm, dedicated, passionate volunteers, lay leaders, and professionals all committed to addressing domestic violence in the Jewish community. Under the incredible vision of Esther East and the dedicated hard work of Elke Stein, this group, this project, this program has grown and increased in both recognition and accomplishments.
I've been involved with Project S.A.R.A.H from early on, and it's been inspiring to watch Esther and her team take an issue that was being swept under the rug, bring it out into the mainstream, and remove the stigma associated with domestic violence.
I became involved with Project S.A.R.A.H when I retired from full-time working. Esther came to me in shul and said, I understand you're retiring now. We could use you at Project S.A.R.A.H on the consortium. And I said to her, I don't really know a lot about Project S.A.R.A.H, and I don't even know what a consortium is, but I'm willing to try. So she said, come down to a meeting. I came, I saw, and they conquered me.
I feel very privileged to be involved with Project S.A.R.A.H and to have been involved for many, many years. It's comforting to know that there's a place that we can refer people to and know without a doubt they will get excellent counseling, as well as feel safe in the environment that's provided for them. In addition, my cousin Rabbi Zichronah Livracha was an intern at Project S.A.R.A.H many years ago, and that training complemented her education, and she became a premier therapist in the tri-state area and helped many, many, many people, and that memory lives on with them.
And the fact that we had Project S.A.R.A.H in the later years, and even though we knew that, you know, we could take the initial call or the initial group, the couple coming to us, that we're able to call, you know, certainly Elke Stein and Esther East, and they would always follow through. And it was amazing that over all these years that we were in Rabbanis, whenever we had a situation, we always called them and they always responded immediately and took what we didn't know into the second phase of what had to be done.
There is such good interaction between the professionals and the volunteers. Although the volunteers, of course, are never privy to any of the confidential information that the professionals deal with on a regular basis, we are always made to feel that we do add value, that we help give the organization direction and support.
I have been so honored to be part of their trainings for rabbis, rebbitzins, mikveh attendants, day schools, camps, all the while never forgetting and never losing sight that we need to help the individuals and families impacted by domestic violence.
Thank God now through Project S.A.R.A.H, just talking from a rebbitzin's point of view, or the wife of a rabbi, whichever way you would want to say it, I think that with all the things that do go on and all the things we do, it's a relief to us to know that, thank God, we have a place to go and a place to send people where they are going to get help, and not to, God forbid, dismiss the issue, but to be the liaison with Project S.A.R.A.H to be able to help the people throughout the challenges.
Thank you, Rebbetzin Chevy Uden, Sherry Bloomberg, Evie Stein, Molly Fish, and Sarah Schlessel for representing the consortium group. Your enthusiasm is contagious, and it helps motivate us all to continue to support this important work. Now, please join me in welcoming Pam Jacobs, our guest speaker this morning. Pam is the executive director of the New Jersey Coalition to End Domestic Violence. She and her team have been an incredible support to Project S.A.R.A.H, especially throughout the pandemic period. Not only do they share resources, but they also impart an outstanding passion for combating domestic violence and sexual abuse, which is evident by hearing anyone from her team speak. To me, this is a testament to Pam's leadership. I'm so glad that she is here with us today. Pam Jacobs.
Thank you so much, Shira, and thank you to everyone for being here today. As Shira just said, I'm Pam Jacobs, and I'm with the New Jersey Coalition to End Domestic Violence. We are a statewide network of 30 programs all across New Jersey who provide direct services to survivors of domestic violence and their families, including Project S.A.R.A.H. I had the honor of speaking with you last year at around this time at this event. And at that time, I asked you not to wait until this crisis was over to get involved. I had no idea that we would still be here a year later, still mostly working from home, still mostly providing remote services. I also had no idea the amount of losses we would endure or truly how strong we could be. We couldn't have forecasted how challenging advocacy would become over this year. I told you at that time last year that calls were down as many victims were still at that time trapped at home. But we knew that as soon as they were able to reach out for help, they would, and they certainly have. We've seen numbers skyrocket in the past few months. One program reported that they have had the highest number of hotline calls that they've received in over a decade. Some are seeing an increase of 40 to 70% in the number of individuals and families who are reaching out for support and help. And advocates and counselors are also spending much more time with each client as their needs have greatly intensified over this past year. Now, all of this is happening while programs have quickly scrambled to set up text lines and virtual platforms for counseling that are both effective and secure, finding ways to, as Project S.A.R.A.H has, to reach children and teens to help them be able to keep themselves more safe. All of this without having funding in their budgets for these increased technology needs. And while fundraising events are often being canceled and often with far fewer staff available to help. It's certainly been a challenge, and Project S.A.R.A.H's team has been there every step of the way. Esther and now Shira have provided support not only to Project S.A.R.A.H's clients and community, but they've also really shown up and stepped up to offer support to programs all across the state. I've had the honor and opportunity of having Project S.A.R.A.H attend our weekly meetings of programs throughout this pandemic, and Esther and Shira have always been supportive and offered any help that programs need in meeting the needs of survivors all across New Jersey. I saw something recently that Project S.A.R.A.H shared on their social media outlets, which said, "When we cannot change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." Programs such as Project S.A.R.A.H have certainly risen to that challenge, quickly changing how they provide help so that anyone who is able to make a call or send a text, to send a message, to reach out, always has an advocate there to help them. They're providing education in new ways so people are informed and empowered to create healthier relationships. And they've worked to ensure that survivors, both adults and children, know that they are not alone. And that is an incredible gift. One such advocate is one of Project S.A.R.A.H's honorees today, and you've heard her name mentioned several times already throughout today's program. That's Esther East. I can't possibly talk about advocacy without talking about Esther. Esther has, of course, served in this work for many years. She's also served on the board of NJCDB, of the coalition, for many years, and most recently served as our board president. She was, in fact, the president of our board for my first 2 years in this position. She has been an incredible mentor, supporter, and leader. Esther truly has a gift for seeing the best in everyone and making decisions from a place of wisdom and compassion and absolutely empathy. She's thoughtful and insightful, intentional, and she leads by example. I know that no matter her title or her role, she is and will always be an advocate, and I know that she's imparted much of her wisdom and expertise into Shira, who is also leading with wisdom and compassion and empathy. Thank you, Esther, for your tireless dedication to survivors, to advocates, and to doing what's right. We appreciate you, and I'm so honored to have the opportunity to work alongside you. And now for all of you who are here today, friends, we are all being faced with this challenge. How will you be changed by what we're experiencing? Who will you be once this pandemic is behind us? We've all felt some level of fear and isolation in this past year. We've all experienced loss. We've missed out on family gatherings and hugging people we love. Many are still grieving, especially after this most recent tragedy. I shared with you last year that as an abuse survivor and someone who's been in this work for 20 years, over 20 years, I've learned that an advocate's greatest superpower is empathy. And we all now have an opportunity to harness this power and use the feelings and the experiences that we've had over this past year to connect to those who are in pain, to have empathy, to ensure that they are not alone. So who will you be? The need for programs like Project S.A.R.A.H is greater now more than ever. Survivors that they serve are often in need of finding a job, caring for children, having access to food, coping with depression and other mental health concerns, in addition to the need for safety and support. And I believe that you're all here with us today because you understand how critical Project S.A.R.A.H's work truly is. So I'll leave you with another challenge this year. Please get involved, give, provide support, and let's all work together to ensure that those who have been abused know that they are not alone. Help them know that we are here, and that anytime they're able to make that call, send that message, an advocate will be there to answer. As our introduction song this morning said, let's reach out and help one another. Let's all come out of this crisis better and more connected than we were before. Thank you all for your time. Thank you, Project S.A.R.A.H, for 25 years of advocacy, for the incredible work that you do, and for the opportunity to be here and to celebrate with you today. I so appreciate you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam, for joining us again this year. There is another individual who has done an extraordinary amount for Project S.A.R.A.H, New Jersey State Senator Loretta Weinberg. She was actually the one who helped Project S.A.R.A.H get its first grant, which funded us way back in 1996. Senator Weinberg was not able to make it to the breakfast today, but she did want to share a few words and congratulate the honorees. It is with great pleasure that we will now play a recorded message from Senator Weinberg.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for allowing me this opportunity to say thank you to all of you who have supported Project S.A.R.A.H in the past and will continue to do so in the future. I'd like to offer my congratulations and mazel tov to all of the honorees this morning, but some special words to my friend and sister advocate, Esther East, upon your retirement from the Clifton-PASSAIC County Jewish Family Service. Esther, your contributions to keeping our families healthy and together is beyond question. You have done so much, not only for the Jewish community, but for our community at large. And I want to say, on behalf of all of the citizens of New Jersey that I represent, a great big thank you, Esther East, for giving so much of yourself to the other families in the state of New Jersey. To Michael East, who is our guest of honor this morning, thank you for all of your contributions. I understand, Michael, that you are the one who came up with the acronym which led us to Project S.A.R.A.H, S-A-R-A-H. So thank you for your continued support, your insight, and your inspiration for this organization. To the other honorees, the Rabbi Awards, the Volunteer Awards, this program could not continue, could not provide all the services it does to victims of domestic violence without your unwavering support. So as I contemplate my own retirement from the state legislature, I will offer something this morning that both Esther East and I might be retiring, but we are not retiring from our love, our commitment, our thoughts, our ongoing support for Project S.A.R.A.H. Thank you to all this morning, and I wish you a wonderful and safe day.
It is always so wonderful to hear Senator Weinberg speak at our annual breakfasts. I have to agree with the Senator that the unwavering support of each honoree is beyond question. When discussing how to distribute the honoree awards, our breakfast chairpersons, Judith Halpern, Michelle Ridholtz, and Aviva Distenfeld, wanted to personally hand deliver them. So they were delivered to each honoree this past week. We are looking forward to seeing our honorees live with their awards as they are spotlighted. It is now my privilege to introduce the recipients of Project S.A.R.A.H's Volunteer Recognition Award, Lois Kaish. Lois has been an extremely devoted member of Project S.A.R.A.H's consortium and has brought to it an enormous amount of experience and knowledge. I've been attending consortium meetings for the past 8 years, And if my memory serves me right, I would also give Lois the award for best attendance. This clearly reflects her dedication to the work of helping those affected by domestic violence and sexual abuse.
At that time, 25 years ago, we were of a single purpose: to reach out to the community, to educate and alleviate in any way we could the issues surrounding domestic abuse. What have we achieved in these many years? We have educated clergy, teachers, parents, students, camp personnel, mikvah attendants, marriage counselors, physicians, attorneys, and other professionals. We have attended conferences and shared with other agencies and learned from them as well. We have saved lives. We have given families the opportunity to start over. We have raised awareness of an issue that has been long overlooked and underserved. I am proud to have participated in much of this program and value what I have learned from my association with the professionals at Project S.A.R.A.H, as well as other volunteers.
She's a thinker and a doer, which means what she does is usually right. After all, she said yes to me. But seriously, Lois has made it her profession to volunteer to work for worthy organizations. She has been regularly making that 25-mile trip from Springfield to Passaic County to attend the Project S.A.R.A.H board meetings right up until the pandemic put a stop to them. Over the many years of volunteering and working with other volunteers, Lois has learned that it is important to make them feel appreciated. A pat on the back, a call to say well done, will go a long way to keep volunteers volunteering. Of course, that's a two-way street, and I am sure the recognition this award provides has made this seasoned volunteer feel once again that it has all been well worth the effort.
Project S.A.R.A.H is an important agent for change in our community. Lois has always been there, contributing her expertise to ensure Project S.A.R.A.H's success. So Lois, my dear friend, my role model and my mentor, you continue to be a force for positive change in the community and here at Project S.A.R.A.H. We are all privileged to work with you.
Indeed, Lois, you have blessed in your outreach to the greater community, not just the Rachel Coalition, but likewise Project S.A.R.A.H. May we all be blessed by you and learn from you what it means to acquire a Rav, a teacher, and a friend.
Our work is not done. The issues surrounding domestic abuse still exist. Our path is clear. We must continue as before to innovate, outreach, and serve. I thank Project S.A.R.A.H for this award and plan to continue to work with them to the best of my ability.
Thank you so much, Lois. Looking forward to seeing you at the next consortium meeting. Can we spotlight Lois and see her with her award? Okay, Lois, are you here with your video? Okay, if we can get Lois on later on, let's spotlight her later on when we see her. Our next honorees are the recipients of the Rabbinic Supporter Award, Rabbi Chaim and Dr. Shoshana Poupko. Rabbi Poupko was one of the stars of our video as part of our Many Voices, One Message campaign. The video is on our website and social media. Rabbi Poupko's participation greatly enhanced the campaign. Having a respected rabbi as he, lending his voice in support of putting an end to domestic violence and sexual abuse has been invaluable. Dr. Shoshana Poupko is known as a spiritual resource for the community, an educator and social worker who currently works as a therapist at Achieve Behavioral Health after years of work within the field of education.
We don't live in a perfect world, and we must be open and honest about the instances of abuse that occur within our community. But Project S.A.R.A.H meets our communal responsibility to support victims of domestic violence and sexual abuse, helping to restore a sense of kavod, a sense of dignity and respect to those affected. And Project S.A.R.A.H isn't solely concerned with helping when things go wrong. Project S.A.R.A.H is also committed to education and providing the resources to prevent abuse. The very special people who work for Project S.A.R.A.H and the very special people who support their efforts are all active participants in promoting kavod zeh bazeh, affording honor to each other and dignity throughout our community.
Their sensitivity and professionalism and how they go about their life-saving work is a source of pride. Chaim and I have made it a priority to promote mental health awareness in our community, and Project S.A.R.A.H plays such an important role in normalizing and bringing out into the open issues that frequently overlap with mental health and stigma. We're so fortunate to have Project S.A.R.A.H as a resource to our spiritual leadership in northern New Jersey.
The Bergen County area and the Englewood community in particular are so fortunate to be beneficiaries of the leadership of Rabbi Poupko and our Rebbetzin Shoshana. Their connection to so many organizations, and in particular to Project S.A.R.A.H, comes from their ability to want to help others to live their lives more fully, to lead more fulfilling lives.
Inside the mikveh, we have literature from Project S.A.R.A.H in places should someone need to have it. We have had all of our Shomrot attend the Project S.A.R.A.H training for mikveh attendance. It takes special people for someone in crisis to be able to open themselves and share the difficulties they are facing. Rabbi Poupko and Shoshana are those type of people.
Any community has the responsibility to assist those who are being victimized within their own homes. And I thank Project S.A.R.A.H for enabling our community to perform this essential service, this important mitzvah, in such an extraordinarily competent and appropriate way. Together, Rabbi Chaim and Rebbetzin Shoshana set an example of what communal leadership is all about. Couldn't have chose better honorees. I wish them a mazel tov and much hatzlacha for years.
And what the rabbi and the Rebbetzin have done for them and have done for many other organizations is show their love and show their respect for all of these people who need our help and need our support. I think it's unbelievably fitting that they honor the two of them because of the type of things that they do, the Gemilas Chesed, and specifically the respect that they give to the Jewish community.
They just know how to connect with everyone. So it's just very appropriate that they are involved. Everybody is so lucky to have them in their community.
So much is done by them behind the scenes and out of the limelight to help families in need of emotional support. The endless hours they spend speaking to and supporting community members is amazing.
I am so proud that my parents are involved with an organization like Project S.A.R.A.H. We are blessed to live in a community that understands how important it is to support people when they are undergoing a crisis and educate the community in how to support each other better.
Mazal tov, Ima and Abba, we love you and we're so proud of you.
Thank you, Rabbi Chaim and Dr. Shoshana Poupko, for all the vital support you provide to Project S.A.R.A.H. It is my privilege to confer our final awards for today to our guests of honor, Esther East and her husband, Rabbi Michael East. Esther has been the executive director of JFS as well as the guiding force of Project S.A.R.A.H for the past 25 years. Just as Senator Weinberg and Pam Jacobs shared, Esther has a clear commitment to Project S.A.R.A.H. Whenever I'm asked, is this project named after someone named Sarah, I too think of Rabbi Michael East and respond by explaining S.A.R.A.H stands for Stop Abusive Relationships at Home. Let's hear more about them and their extraordinary contributions to the community.
The staff of Jewish Family Service at Passaic, one of the rabbis on our board of directors, Rabbi Rabbi, spoke to me and said, "What are we doing in New Jersey about the issue of domestic violence?" I just thought about it, didn't do anything immediately. Then I went to a bar mitzvah where one of the guests at the bar mitzvah said to me, she and her friends were getting together to talk about bringing the Shalom Task Force hotline to New Jersey. And I said, you know what? Why don't we all work on this together? And that really began the sort of overarching organizational principle of Project S.A.R.A.H, which was we're much better working collaboratively and bringing all the resources of people who care about this issue to the table. So sitting at the table, we had the heads of shelters, which were secular providers, and Jewish service organizations, and Rebbitzins, everyone with one common story, that they knew about victims of domestic violence in the Jewish community, but nobody really helped them in an organized way. And that's how we began. We had a hotline, we began training professionals, and from this conversation, we heard about a federal grant opportunity that was put out by the Stop the Violence Against Women. And they were looking for services that reached underserved populations. And in order to be eligible for this grant, you had to be a faith-based or underserved serving organization that was working together with an official domestic violence agency. We were there already. We were at the table with them. We did a joint application with the Passaic County Women's Center and the Jewish Family Service in Passaic for a program that we decided to name Project S.A.R.A.H. When we began, the number one issue that we were dealing with was denial. Nobody thought that domestic violence existed in the Orthodox Jewish community because our kind of basic Jewish law is that you treat your wife with respect, you treat other human beings with respect, and so that the rabbis said to us, this doesn't happen in the Jewish community. However, that we know that when things are happening and there's a lot of denial, it becomes really hard for people who are experiencing this to come forward. So that became our very first and primary, and remains to this day, our main goal is to make sure that there is no denial of this problem. And I have to say that over the years, the community has moved mountains in terms of shifting from a community that was really in denial to one that is completely, I would say, accepting and understanding that this happens. That we went from rabbis saying, I've never seen a victim in my shul, to having an extremely right-wing rabbi say to me, I'm going to accompany this woman to Beit Din to get her get and make sure she doesn't have to be afraid in case her abusive husband shows up.
The awareness brings a desire to help. He or she who was perceived to be in a stressful domestic situation, and there's no longer a stigmatization attached with this issue. It is unfortunately, or fortunately, an issue that people are aware about enough that help can be sought out without anyone feeling that they're a pariah or they're an outcast if they're victims, or if they're trying to help an individual who seems to be suffering from this, that this help is unavailable, inaccessible, it's impossible to find, and all kinds of hoops have to be jumped through in order to get aid and assistance. Fortunately, now that is no longer the case. Thanks to Esther and her program and similar programs, I think that Project S.A.R.A.H has spawned over the years.
As a visionary, Esther started from scratch and like a force of nature, ignoring, or better yet, educating naysayers and critics, and penetrating denial. Esther not only created a magnificent organization which offers wraparound service, treatment, education, prevention, and funding, but year after year has increased and enhanced the services in the community, including rabbinical training, dealing with the issue of sexual abuse, and educating the community's children to protect themselves. Esther, with her husband and children always at her side, and as supporters and volunteers, was determined to ensure that no Jew in New Jersey should remain in an abusive relationship because they were not aware of the services that were available. All of us who worked at or for Project S.A.R.A.H have benefited from and grown through Esther's leadership and guidance.
We have been educated, ourselves, colleagues, friends, lay leadership, MIC for women, MIC attendants, teachers, camp directors, counselors, kids. We have all gotten an education from the wonderful organization, Project S.A.R.A.H. They understood that in order to make real changes within our community, people like myself needed to be educated about what it meant and what we could do to help women, and also how women were really suffering in silence. We've come a very long way, and that's really due to a lot of the leadership of my wonderful sister, Esther. She empowers people that work for her to become the best they can be, and therefore able to share their knowledge and spread the information. Project S.A.R.A.H has come from being an idea, women discussing around a table, to this amazing organization that has helped so many women. I am grateful and thankful for your organization. I'm grateful for the information that I now have. I am hoping that your organization is available for a very long time to provide resources, not only to the people that need the services, but also to the community at large, so that we do not stay ignorant, that we are people that are knowledgeable and know and caring.
I still remember that the day that my very first granddaughter was born, that I went to a Project S.A.R.A.H meeting, and I said to the group, I want my granddaughter to grow up in a world in which this is not a problem. And that's the work that we're doing for our sisters, for our daughters, for our granddaughters, for our sons and our grandsons, for everyone, that there should be a world in which it is not possible that some woman, particularly a Jewish woman, will be a victim of domestic violence and not have a place to turn to that's accessible, that understands her needs, and where she will feel safe and understood.
Wow. Esther East and Rabbi Michael East, thank you for all you have done and continue to do. Oh, there they are. Hello. For all those who'd like to know what's written on their plaque, it reads, in tribute of your vision, dedication, and commitment to ensure the safety and happiness in the lives of others. Thank you. If you are feeling inspired by the dedication of our honorees or by any other part of today's presentation, please continue to donate to Project S.A.R.A.H. Our donation page will still be up after the conclusion of this event and can be found in the chat box. I would like to take another moment to acknowledge and thank our devoted chairpersons of this year's breakfast, along with the breakfast committee members who were outstanding in putting this breakfast together, despite the virtual challenges. The time has come to thank you all for being part of Project S.A.R.A.H.'s journey. It's because of the support from all of you here today that Project S.A.R.A.H. can continue to carry its vital mission to provide each individual in need with the opportunity for a life of choice rather than control. We wish you all good health and safety as we continue our journey.
מבקש ממך בכל ליבי ומזה התפילה שתנחה אותי בדרך ישרה ותודיעני אורחת תורה